What's up, everybody? I'm Mike from the Bunker Recordings and BetterMixes.com, and today we're checking out the Subkick plugin from Hitshaper. If your kick drum is lacking in low-end impact, Subkick might be just the solution for you. It's basically just a super fast and easy way to trigger and shape a subby sine wave to mix in with your kick to give it a little extra oomph. So let's jump into Pro Tools to check it out. All right, so here we have Subkick loaded up on our kick track, or our kick folder rather. But before we dive into it, let's take a listen to our drums as is without Subkick. So it sounds really good, but I think we could use a little extra thump and a little extra weight to our kick drum. So let's solo up our kick track and dive in. The first thing you're going to want to do is come down to this tuning section here and choose the key of your song. In this case, we're in the key of B. Now, it's worth noting you're not necessarily always going to want to go with the key of your track. I found that especially as you get up into the higher keys here, sometimes it doesn't sound great cranking a whole bunch of 73 hertz into your kick drum. But selecting the key of the song is at least a good starting place to get you going. If that's not working for you, you could always try going with the fifth of the song, or just flipping through and seeing what sounds right with your kick drum. I'm not somebody who tunes their acoustic drums to the key of the song or whatever, but I do feel like when we're just adding in a sine wave underneath our kick drum, it can feel a little bit more cohesive when it is in key. But like I said, just do whatever sounds right. Then next to that, we have a fine tune control, which allows you to pitch the Subkick up or down up to 100 cents in either direction. And we have a humanize control, which kind of adds in a little bit of random variation to the pitch. But in most cases, I like to keep both of these at their default 0. Then running through the rest of the interface real quick, down here we have our envelope section, which has our threshold, which is basically just setting when Subkick will start doing something. And then we have our sustain and our release. The sustain is how long the Subkick will last before it starts fading out, and the release is how long it takes to fade out once it starts fading out. Then over here we have our mix section, where we have a level knob for our sub, for our dry kick, and then an overall master volume to change the level of the kick without messing with your balance between these two. And lastly in this section, we have a polarity switch, which will flip the phase on the sub signal. And in the upper right here, we just have a graphical display, which you will see once we start running some audio through this. Hey, I just want to interrupt the video for a quick second to tell you about today's sponsor, me. Yeah, I'm self-sponsoring my video, whatever. But I wanted to tell you about my drum samples. I made these after being incredibly disappointed with pretty much all the other samples I could find. So I figured, hey, why not make some that are way better? So I did. I've got over a dozen kits available covering a wide range of tones, all multi-sampled at multiple velocities for tons of realism. And they start at just 15 bucks, or you can get the complete set for 100 bucks, which also includes any additional packs I ever make in the future. You can head on over to bettermixes.com/drum samples to check them out. Anyway, back to the video. So the first thing we're going to want to do is adjust our threshold. So I'm just going to hit play and I'm going to drag this down until Subkick starts doing something. You can also drag this orange bar here that is linked to the threshold as well. Cool, and right away you can hear exactly what Subkick is doing. I'm actually going to turn the sub up for a little bit just so we can really hear everything we're adjusting. And actually real quick, let me take the dry all the way out just so you can hear just what the sub is adding. Hopefully you're listening on decent speakers or headphones so you can actually hear that. If you were just listening to that on your phone or your laptop speakers, you probably didn't even hear anything. But anyway, let's pop our dry back in and mess with our sustain and release. So the default settings are currently way too long for this track. So I'm going to start by bringing both of these all the way down to as fast as they go. And actually, for rock stuff, I find that I usually leave the sustain all the way down as fast as it goes, and then just use the release to tune the length of it. For more pop or electronic-y kind of stuff, then the sustain knob probably becomes a lot more useful. But like I said, for rock, I like it really fast there. So I'm going to hit play, and I'm just going to dial in this release to something that sounds cool. All right, so I'm taking that right there. I found that, again, for rock stuff, I usually end up somewhere between 75 hertz and maybe 150 or so. And a lot of that has to do with the track. If it's a faster track with busy drums and a really dense mix, you'll typically want to go a little bit faster. And on the other hand, if you've got a much slower song with more spacious drum part and a more open mix, you can go quite a bit longer on it. For this mix, I was digging somewhere just a little bit above 100 milliseconds. And I do actually want to take a quick second to point out a problem I found related to the release and the sustain. I'm very much hoping that this is something that they fix at some point. But if your combined sustain and release is set too long, to the point where Subkick is still ringing out when the next kick happens, it won't trigger the next kick hit, which ends up sounding really funny. Here, I'll show you an example real quick. If we go over here, there's a part with a much quicker kick part. Did you catch that? Here, let me turn the sub up, and I'll actually increase the release a little bit to make it even more obvious. So yeah, we just have that one kick there all of a sudden with like no low end in it. So that's annoying. Especially if you just have like a couple of quick little doubles like that throughout the song. You probably won't catch that it's even doing it at first. And it won't be until down the line mixing that all of a sudden you notice you have a couple random kicks with no low end. So one solution is to keep your release really fast, but obviously it kind of sucks to have to tailor your release to get Subkick to trigger properly as opposed to tailoring it to what sounds best. Or what I typically do is once I get everything dialed in, I will print a Subkick track down, and then I can just quickly scroll through and see if it missed any hits and copy and paste those in if it did. But hopefully they'll fix that at some point. But anyway, let's go back to our chorus here. Let's check our phase and just dial in the level of our sub. So in this case, I thought it sounded a little bit better without the phase switch in, but that's always something you should check. Sometimes it's going to be really, really obvious which is better, and sometimes they'll sound practically the same, but just hit it a couple times and go with whatever sounds better. So let's do a quick before and after this to see what Subkick has added to our kick. Oh yeah, that's sounding a lot beefier. And let's do that one more time with all of our drums in. Might have still went a little bit heavy-handed with this. Might want to bring it back a little bit farther, but either way, it sounded pretty good. And finally, I just want to show you a quick little trick on how I often use Subkick in a mix. So first off, instead of putting it right on my kick track, I will typically make a duplicate of my kick and insert it onto that. This does a couple things for me. First off, it gives me the option to add some plugins after Subkick, just affecting our subs as opposed to the whole kick. For instance, I might want to add some saturation to the low end, or maybe use something like Waves Max Bass or R Bass or something like that. So it just gives you a lot more possibilities that way. But the other thing it does is it makes it really easy to automate this. For instance, in this song, I only have Subkick coming in on the choruses of the song. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you know that I like to do a lot of little moves all throughout my mix to create contrast, specifically between like the verse and the chorus or whatever the big section of the song is. This adds a ton of excitement. And in this track, I was using Subkick to do that. By having it off in the verses, it's making the verses just a little bit smaller. Like there's still low end in the kick. It still sounds good. And you don't really think anything of it. But then when the chorus comes in and that extra low end comes into our kick drum, it just makes everything sound way bigger. So let's check that out. I'm just going to play the end of this verse here going into the chorus. And just listen to how much more massive the drums get. And I'll actually crank Subkick up a little bit, just to make it a little bit more obvious what we're doing. So yeah, just another way to add some interest to your track. So yeah, I think Subkick is a really great tool for quickly adding some extra weight and impact to your drums. I would definitely like to see them fix the issue of it missing faster hits when the release is set too long. As it currently is, it's pretty annoying that you have to go through to double check any fast sections to make sure everything is triggering properly. And for that matter, that you basically can't have the option of a longer release time in a song with faster kicks. But if they fix that at some point, then I will have nothing but good things to say about this plugin. I love how fast and easy it is to use, and it delivers on exactly what it promises to do. Oh, and did I mention that it's only $28? If you want to check out Subkick for yourself, I'll leave a link to Hitshaper's website in the description down below. Also, if you like this video and want to see more plugin reviews, hit that like button and subscribe. I was looking at my analytics the other day, and it said that about 90% of you aren't subscribed. 90%? What the heck? So seriously, it really helps out the channel and allows me to keep making videos when you subscribe.